I hope I never get, but it's in my family. Diabetes.
Diabetes?
Yeah, through and through. Mom,
I mean,
dad.
isn't that like for South Asians, cholesterol, diabetes, these things are more,
Pressure.
is it pressure,
Pressure.
blood pressure? Blood
Pressure
pressure
beড়ে গেছে.
বেড়েছে.
Pressure beড়ে গেছে.
Is it
How
like
does
a,
everybody have a pressure mapper in their
Yeah.
house?
if
Every
I,
single
Have you seen
person.
Bangladesh? Everyone also self-medicates.
Hey,
You don't need a doctor.
for sure. And it starts with pressure. Ay, pressure
Yeah.
দেখো, pressure দেখো.
guys,
Pressure should cow fucking hell.
I have a great story. Like if I literally just open the door to this closet, I can bring out like 3
No.
machines. So my mom was visiting me one year. I was pregnant with Isla, so geez, it was 9 years ago at this point. And she first got to New York, visiting her brother and sister, and she's like, she lands and she's panicking. She's here in Chicago. She's like, before I took off, I had my brother measure my pressure. Blood pressure নিছে, blood pressure. আমার blood pressure অনেক high ছিল.
Because
And
she's traveling.
She was
Yeah.
stressed. And she's like freaking out. She comes, she's like, you need to, do you have a blood pressure machine? I was like, no. Is that a common thing for people to have?
Exactly. Not in this country.
So then she was like freaking out about it. And I had to take her to like a Walgreens and have a pharmacist check her blood pressure. And then she had me buy 2 blood pressure machines or
Duita,
whatever they're called.
because you need a backup.
Yeah, and you need to compare.
Yeah.
যেরকম হাতের গোলা, have you ever had those?
Mm-hmm.
Those are supposed to be like, I guess we didn't know how to use it, but that gives you like 400 over 200 or some shit like this. Like
Yeah, it's not very accurate.
It's not
huh?
accurate at all.
So
Yeah.
at a lot of the drugstores, they have one that you can just do by yourself.
Yeah.
ওইটা দিয়ে শুরু করছি প্রথমে. And I'm like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what any of this means. And she's like convinced. She's like, আমার ভাইয়া আমাকে বলেছে, আমার blood pressure বেড়ে গেছে, and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then, she doesn't have insurance here. She's visiting from Dhaka. I'm like, I can't take you to a doctor. Luckily, this pharmacist lady, measured it for her. And it was, I think, high. And she's on medication. It's not like
she takes blood pressure oshud.
Uh-huh.
Which is lifelong. Did you guys know that? Once you start, you can't stop.
Yeah. But I think she was just stressed out, But it was, I'm like,
flying will do really strange things to your body. Like, because I have all these devices all connected to me, I get to see it real time. But anytime you fly, your blood sugars will always get all messed up.
Really?
The stress and the altitude causes your blood sugar to always rise. So you have to, so when you're flying, trying to manage that by like not eating too shitty, because as soon as you descend, it starts dropping really fast.
Oh.
And so like, I guess a regular person's body would be able to regulate that themselves. But they say in order to have like a nice flight where you're not feeling like shit after, if you just either monitor it or just kind of eat sensibly and like walk around and move around, you're not going to have those issues.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, I have to have a drink every time I fly, if not
Which
2.
is, I think drinking brings it down, depending on what
Doesn't
you're drinking.
Doesn't it go up?
If you're drinking like cocktails, then blood sugars go up. But otherwise, if you're just
like a gin
spirits,
tonic?
Oh yeah, that'll bring it down. Because your body's metabolizing the alcohol and not
these fucking MPs over here.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my mom all the time. I'm like, Daaktaar.
Yeah, I know. The same thing.
Like they're experts in this stuff. And I'm like, none of us are doctors. সবগুলি জানে, blood pressure, cholesterol যা বলো সবগুলির মধ্যে একদম MA pass first class.
Oh my god, exactly. And then they use all the actual medical terms for like a headache or something, and you're like, what is that? And it's like, oh, it's matha batha. Like that's all it is. কিছু হইলে paracetamol খাও, saline খাও. Did you remember see those Oreos saline packet? মানুষের বাসায় এরকম. Yes, কিছু হইলে saline দাও, জ্বর হইলে saline দাও. It's like, well, everybody knows.
The best part,
but like narcotics and ঘুমের ওষুধ, they would just give it out and like, oh, তোমার ঘুমের সমস্যা হচ্ছে, এই নাও এটা half খাও, Dormicum. That shit would knock you out.
Yeah, people just pass medicine
days.
around.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Well, that's what's so cool is, no, I shouldn't say it's cool, but if you go to Bangladesh, you can walk into any pharmacy or whatever they call it, and buy anything
shit.
from like Z-Packs to, you know, other prescription medication here. You can buy it all over the counter. And there are lots of families that do that and bring in, and they've got like a storage of Z-Packs. So anytime,
Yeah.
they like to be Z-Pack now. It's a thing.
What's the Z-Pack?
Zithromax it's basically an antibiotic. So it's like I think it's 5 days or 7 days. It's amazing. I mean, if you genuinely have a bacterial infection, that works. Is it bacterial or viral?
Bacterial.
Bacterial, yeah.
And it works really well.
But anything, everything is antibiotic co. Everything.
Yeah.
Whether you have something or not, preventative antibiotic co.
Yeah.
Like what? What is the one it's called, Dhaka? I can't remember the name. It's so common. But that was the solution to every problem.
I mean, paracetamol is definitely one that's thrown around a lot.
Antibiotic ectonomasi.
I know. I feel like it's with an A.
Yeah, it's not amoxicillin. It's like a Dhaka.
No, it's like the
Bangladeshi brand or something. Anywho, yes, that's the answer to everything.
Yeah. I mean, we become dependent on these things. And then the problem is if you keep taking antibiotics, they stop working.
Exactly.
Yeah. It messes with your
But if you have to give your child a birth control pill to regulate their hormones or PCOS, no.
It's called brown math. Have you guys seen this new trend?
Yes.
X math.
Mom math.
I just saw one for brown math, and it's fantastic. It really is.
There's a few of them.
You guys, it's like so true. Everything that we, the hypocrisy of many things.
Yeah.
But to what you're saying about brown or like Deshi family or just people we know or just people in general being experts in health.
Yes.
I feel like this is something I wanted to bring up, that when I was diagnosed with my type 1 diabetes, there was so much noise coming from every direction. Like, এটা তো কোনো ব্যাপার না, তুমি just একটু exercise করো, একটু খাওয়া দাওয়া করো. Like everybody is an expert in diabetes, right? Like, and everybody is an expert when Fuad had his cancer diagnosis. It was all like, oh, just এটা করো, দেখবা সব ঠিক হয়ে গেছে. I mean, you don't need to trust medicine. Just, take care of it this way. Like, from people who have no background in medicine whatsoever, they were all gung-ho about giving all kinds of advice.
And how simple it must be for you to just be like, করে ফেলো, করো না কেন?
একটু কলিজা খাও, একটু করলা খাও, সব ঠিক হয়ে যাবে।
করলা juice.
Corona juice, cinnamon Coke.
It's and a lot of times it's like, oh, আমার ভাস্তির বোনের ছেলের এরকম থাইরয়েডের প্রবলেম ছিল, and it wasn't even thyroid cancer, it was probably just like hypothyroidism or something, and then that becomes they had like deadly cancer and this is what they did and now they're alive, so you should be doing the same thing.
Or Allah, এটা হইছে অমুকের ওটা হয়ে মরে গেছে. Like, I don't need to know that. No, but there's no filter. Didn't someone tell you, Maya? Like, weren't you telling me someone told you? Like, acha ঠিক আছে, মানে manage করে খাও, something like whatever.
It's always like, everything was always like, same. Even from my own mom. My own mom, like, যখন আমি ওদের বাড়িতে যাই, বা when they come over, my mom brought her famous buri. Buri and my blood sugar, they're not friends at all. If I eat buri, there's no way, no amount of insulin will bring me down for like 24 hours. So buri, I try to avoid. Is it just all
carbs?
No, it's all fat.
Buri is protein and fat,
protein and fat. So and all the way they cook it, it's just the way that it's processed is just not blood sugar friendly. So whenever she'd bring it, like, I'll be like, nah, it's okay, I'll just have a tiny bit and that's it. Like, na khao tumi, eta kono byapar na to, manage kora to kono byapar na. But they don't understand the day to day, the hour to hour, the minute to minute struggle that I have to do in order to manage my symptoms so that I'm not an unbearable person to live with. Because that's the thing when you have a chronic illness, especially one that's invisible, is that there's no way to explain to somebody that, I'm feeling really lousy right now. My blood sugar's not, doing so well. And since everything kind of lumps into one umbrella, oh, you have diabetes.
Oh, yeah.
Big deal. That's not really.
And there's nuances between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Everybody,
absolutely.
we know all of our bap chachas have 2, usually in my family. And so that's also another, they're living with it, so you should be able to live with it.
Yes.
Mentality.
That's such that's the key point, is they very much like to compare what someone else's suffering looks like and why isn't yours exactly the same. And I mean, it's for anything, right? Like how I react to something might be completely different from how you guys react to it. That doesn't mean that your feelings are any less or any more, or like I'm a stronger person than you are. And that is just so, I don't know, like ingrained in our expectations of, within our culture of, one, you shouldn't, one, it's like, that we do have this whole thing of when we're suffering, we really show it. We're so dramatic. And if you're not showing it, then there's something wrong with you too. It's like you can't win either way, right? So like you have certain people, like especially, I mean, bringing up, with flood and cancer, and you guys dealt with it the way that worked for you and your family. And it wasn't like you were going out and being like, oh my God, my life is ending. My husband is, critically ill, all of this stuff. And I think people expect that. And they're like, why aren't you reacting?
The amount of criticism I got. It was insane. It was insane. I mean, I had people coming and saying, এক তো শুনছি যে আমি তো সবাইকে দেখতেছি নামাজ পড়তেছে, আমি তোমাকে তো একবারও দেখলাম না নামাজ পড়তে।
আল্লাহ।
হ্যাঁ, like I haven't seen
নামাজ পড়লে কি হবে, চলে যাবে?
I guess
আল্লাহর ভরসা।
মানে যাদের ক্যান্সার হয় ওরা নামাজ পড়লে সেজদা দিলে
চলে যাবে। Or I got, because when Fuad was diagnosed, he's much like, the way he deals with his issues is he enjoys sharing real time what's happening, keeping people updated, and just getting that support from, or like whatever it is, prayers, blessings, whatever it is, he likes to share that real time. For me, however, I kind of like to process things by myself for a bit. And then when I'm ready, then if I feel like sharing, I'll share. If I don't, I don't. When Fuad had cancer, that was probably the worst time of my life. And I was flooded. Like my messenger was flooded with thousands of messages. And I didn't respond. I couldn't respond. What was I going to say? It's the same message. Oh, dua koro, dua kortesi shab thik hoye jabe. Allahar bhorosha shab thik hoye jabe. Chinta koro na. I've had this family member, this happened. He's in good hands. So, just, I didn't know what to say, because I that's not how I process. But when it was all finished, I got that, Maya ke to message korchilam, Maya to kono uttoro deয় নাই, ও তো মানে দেখেও নাই কি, আমরা তো, we are well wishers. But she never even responded.
All the expectation.
That's the thing. Like there shouldn't be, if I'm reaching, because I understand human nature, when somebody is struggling, you want to reach out and let them know, like, hey, I'm here for you, whatever way you need help. But the expectation shouldn't be that then this person is going to take the time and respond back to you and be like, how nice of you. You are such a great person. That's where it's a huge miss. It really is. And then they get offended by it. And then they'll go tell your, Shashri or your mom.
Shashri, oh yeah.
Maya, do you want to, because I don't know if everybody know, like we're talking about Fuad's diagnosis, but I'm not sure everyone's familiar with what that was.
So there were 2 big health issues that we've dealt with when it came to my home and my family. So the first was Fuad had bariatric surgery back in 2014. And there were some complications with that surgery. So ওই সময়টা, that was kind of the first hit that we got health-wise. Actually, no, we have 3, not even 2. And then a few years later, like before Azalea even turned 2, it was like a month after we bought our home and we moved in, we found out that Fuad had thyroid cancer. And it's like a mix of two different types of cancer. It was in like an early stage. It was like the randomest thing to find out. Like his barber basically looked at him and was like, dude, one side of your face looks a little heavy. I think you should go get checked out.
No.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. No joke. That's how he found out.
Shout out to barbers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he went and had that checked out. It was cancer.
Oh, shit.
I think one of the things that I was really lucky to be able to rely on was Fuad's family, because having Rahat Bhaiya, Nikki Bhaiya, my two bhabis, like everything was done super quick because everybody was on board. Everybody was there to just, okay, how can we take action? How can we get this resolved as soon as possible? So between the time that he was diagnosed and when he went in for surgery, there was like a 2-week lapse. So within 2 weeks, we had everything sorted out. He was seeing like the best doctors. We're very lucky with our medical insurance and just to be able to live where we are, to have that kind of support. So that was the cancer. And then this past year, 2023, this was also kind of random that one of our family, like one of Fuad's cousins, just randomly had a heart attack while his family was away. So Fuad's brothers were like, "Oh, I think we should all just get checked out. Let's just see, let's just get a CT angio." So they all got the angio, and then Fuad got his, and they found out that he had it's like a congenital heart defect. So he had a congenital heart defect, and there was like a block. So it was kind of a 2-in-1 situation. Again, found out completely by fluke. And we had to go through, surgery and get his recovery kind of along. I don't even know. Like, I'm just thinking about it now just makes me so.
Yeah.
I feel like, there's healing in the universe, and it, and there's connection between everybody. But sometimes you get that feeling that there's somebody watching over you, and like that's the feeling that I get. But look at that.
All right, that's what, 9 for 9 that she's cried? Jeez, Maya, get it together.
Do you see why I have so many wrinkles?
You do need Botox for that.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but that's right.
Out, but yeah.
No.
That's incredible that I mean, if you think about it, you're right. Like both situations, the fact that you guys caught it before it got worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not know that that's how Fuad figured out his thyroid situation.
Yeah, neither
the barber was like, there's a story like this of some reality show person where a nurse was watching the show and noticed like a lump or something on their throat. I forget the guy's name. They do one of those like house shows, HGTV. And she wrote a letter to him and said, "Hey, I'm a nurse. You need to get your, I don't know, something checked." And it ended up being Tarek something was his name. Totally
oh God. With the blonde wife and all their drama.
But that's how it's kind of very similar to your story about a barber being like, something looks off.
What's funny?
I mean, this is common regardless of cultures, is that, we are afraid, typically men are not big advocates of their own health, going to get checked
preventative health,
physicals, and all of this stuff. And then it's too late many times when they find these things out. Like the heart thing, honestly, that would have never been caught. Because
it wouldn't.
You don't just do an angio for no reason.
Yeah.
That is like crazy that, he caught that.
And I have to say a PSA is if you have family history of heart disease, it's not your cardio echo or ECG or EKG and these kinds of, or just even regular ultrasound will never find if you have a block unless you're having an active heart attack. Like we were very lucky. The cardiologist that saw Fuad and the one who operated is one of the top cardiologists in the US. And he said the only way to find any issues with your heart is to get a contrast CT angiogram. So it has to have the dye, and then it takes the picture of your heart. I actually went and got it afterwards too.
Wow.
I get those things like my mammogram stress me out. Like just the fact that there could be something, that this could reveal something from all of these stories of like nobody expected it, came out of left field. That shit freaks me out.
But like, exactly. Wouldn't you want to know now rather than someone telling you like, okay, you're stage 4 now and there's nothing you can do. I mean, by the way, good job getting your mammogram.
Oh,
I'm very
you
happy.
Inspired me.
Yes. Because again, like the whole concept of like, we live in a country where we have these resources.
Yeah.
And especially if you have insurance that covers all of this, there is no reason why you shouldn't be getting these things done, especially like the screening to help prevent things.
Yeah.
And I mean,
what's the protocol for the screening? Like, is it like an age? Do you want to just
typically? I mean, first
40.
of all, none of us are doctors, y'all. We're just sharing
whatever our doctors told us.
Just disclosure, we are not. Amra Daaktaar na, but our parents pretend to be. So. My understanding is at 40, it's recommended. Yeah. But I think the guidelines go as far as 45. But I believe insurance will cover. Yeah, but insurance will cover starting at 40, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, if you can do it, you should absolutely do it even earlier. If you have a history in your family, you can actually do it even earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's ways you can do other tests to see if you're what is it, like preempted or predisposed to have it, because there's some sort of genetic testing you could do to see if you'll get it or not, and then you start screening even earlier for some people. But there's also like mammogram, I don't know about anywhere else here, there's like mammogram trucks that set up shop.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's very little, either little to no cost, insurance or not, they'll just do it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you have really no excuse here to not do it.
I mean, we have the access to all of this. But again, I mean, these are things that for one reason or the other, you know, in our culture, we shy away from it because, to your point, Marion, like people are afraid to know if something bad's going to happen. And they're like, no, korbo na, next year. And then
dorkar nai.
Yeah. Dorkar nai. Amar ki dorkar? Amader to karoi breast cancer hoy nai. Amar keno hobe, you know?
Yeah. Or my mom thinks going to the dentist is awful. She's like, "Ora kocha diye diye aro kharap kore that."
Oh God, that sounds like
wrong. There are some shady people there that will do stuff to make more money, but
or she'll be like, "Hakon egulo korar boyosh hoy nai." There's somebody I know who's like, I don't know if they do this in Bangladesh, but like PAPs and like health screening for girls. Here they start at before 18, I think. And when I was growing up, I thought it was like 18. Now they do it earlier. And they don't do it. They're no, biye na hole. Biye na hawa porjonto egulo korar dorkar nai, which is like, do you really know
brown math
what your kids are doing? Brown math.
But you know that sometimes they do that thing, like let's say you go in with some sort of a symptom, like okay, amar onek byatha hocche, period hole byatha hoy. And they're like, oh na biye korle sob thik hoye jabe.
Oh my God, hey. Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
What the fuck?
বাচ্চা হয়ে গেলে একটা বাচ্চা হয়ে গেলে এটা ঠিক হয়ে যাবে
সব ক্লিয়ার হয়ে যাবে
সব চলে যাবে
সবকিছু
little do they realize then is বাচ্চা হওয়ার জন্য কত complication হয়
because you might have fibroids because that's another one I totally forgot about. You're right, like pap smears, like guys, you do not need to get cervical cancer. You can literally catch that if you get your, pap smears.
But nothing can go up there until you're married.
And you're right. Like I wasn't old enough when I was in Bangladesh to have to do any of this stuff. So yeah, I don't know if people in Dhaka get all of these things done. Like, do you only go to the gyne when you're pregnant and that's it? Or do you go every year?
Or something's wrong.
What do they call gynes in Bangladesh?
Gynae doctor.
Gynae.
I thought there was like a funnier name for it, but yeah,
no.
The gynaes.
But even here, gynae's pretty funny. But even here, like I didn't go to the doctor unless I was like sick.
Same.
Oh yeah.
Growing up, never.
I didn't have a primary care forever.
Yeah, I still don't actually have a primary. My kids do.
Yeah.
I don't have one.
I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but the one that nobody seems to talk about is how hard breastfeeding is.
And, oh my God.
You go into it thinking, oh my gosh, pop out the baby and there's just like milk flowing, right?
That's another one where everybody's like, "Keno, hobe na keno?"
Yeah.
Or tumi ki khacho na? Aro khao. But dudh khao. My mom, she'd be like, "Shagu khao. Shagu khao." Kalijira to chiloi. Amake erokom dabba bhore shagu banay. She'd be like, "Shagu khao, shagu khao." I think I didn't lose anything after this baby. Shagu tushai khao. I say.
Wouldn't you get constipated with all that shagu?
I don't know.
I definitely, my mom gave me that too. And
Really?
the milk. They were like, oh, tumi to dudh khao na, tar jonno tomar
dudh yes. And I couldn't. But one is stress. And two, I just don't think my body just wasn't. I'm not a producer of it. It just didn't happen. Like barely. Like konorokome tene by 3 months. Jototuk. And I had to always do the supplementary feeding.
Me too.
Every time. Because it was so frustrating because you think you're supposed to do this. This is your job. This is your body's job. It's naturally supposed to happen. You're supposed to be, everybody's like, people need like bra pads and all these things to soak shit up. Like I could barely squeeze anything out.
Yeah. I cried over spilled milk.
Yes.
Like literally cried over spilled milk. It was
literally
half an ounce is all I made. And then I dropped one. It was like, the little ones that you start with.
Yes.
And
Modelo.
Yes. And it is so devastating.
It is. And it's important for people to know that it is okay to supplement.
Absolutely.
It's okay to feed all formula. It's okay to breastfeed in 100%. The kid just needs to be healthy.
Fed,
right?
Yes, and healthy.
And I don't know about your moms or, in that generation, but my understanding is many of us were actually formula fed back in the day.
I was.
Yeah, I was too.
And
my mom went back to work a month after I was born, so.
Yeah, and it seems like we are much more shamed now in this generation about breastfeeding
Do you think?
than they were. That's
Yeah,
it sounds like, everyone, and again, like in the Bangladeshi circle, when I ask, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, formula. And it wasn't like a big deal. It didn't sound like it.
I was lactose intolerant, so I had to have like soy formula or something like this.
They had it back then?
Yeah.
Wow.
আমি এত বুড়া না ধরে পিটাবো
back then, dude. In the 1980s.
In the 1980s,
early 80s, by the way.
Let me tell you, you were born.
My computer's like, I'm done.
Oh my god, you were born bougie.
Yeah, because you were in America.
Canada.
I only had soy milk.
I wouldn't survive. My mom's like, every time she would feed me, আমি ঘট করে বমি করে দিতাম, and they didn't know why.
No, but আমাদের আরেকটা হলো কি যে ঘট করে আরো দাও বেশি করে দিলে ঠিক হয়ে যাবে. Like allergies, another one, food allergy. আমাদের সময় তো কোনো কারো ফুড অ্যালার্জি ছিল না, কি এগুলি বাদাম টাদাম, আমরা তো পিনাট বাটার এটার জন্য এমনি খাই না.
I say the same thing though. It's true. There's too much.
I say the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'll quiz you. We did this once with Fuad. There was a bunch of us, and I was like, I'll give you guys a quiz. আমাদের দেশে কারো অ্যালার্জি হইলে, any allergy, whatever allergy it is, what are the 3 to 4 things everybody says you can't eat?
Can't?
Beef, begun, chingri mach. Aki.
There's another one. Beef, begun, chingri mach. But these 3, and everybody, we were at a bar, I think, and everybody that was joining us, we kept asking the next person coming in. Everybody had the same answer.
Wait, so say this again. Like you're saying, what's the question?
If any allergy you have, they say,
like if I were allergic to peanuts,
or if you had a
know, like if you just ate or whatever, and you broke out into a hive, or you just
if you have like if you have an allergic reaction, what are the things people say that are causing it essentially?
Allergic reaction, or if you know that or to prevent an allergic reaction, whether you think you might have it or not, and you'll never eat it again. It's beef, begun, and shrimp. Every time.
I've never heard this.
Like loti toti ugulo to.
But some of this, I don't know if this is an alert. Like beef, I will tell you. One of the other, it seems like I've been noticing this. Gout. Do you guys know what gout is? That's another common
Deshi thing.
Yeah, common disease. I don't know if that's the right word, but like
Ailment.
that's ailment.
Wait, but what is it?
It's flaring of I don't know if it's like flaring of joints because it's not like rheumatoid arthritis, but
no, it's
like
usually your joints.
It is extremely painful. So it's something to do with your uric acid, and I can't remember if it's because you have too much or too little.
Too much.
But and then depending on your diet, certain things cause it to flare. So like beef, lentil,
chingri.
It could be chingri, I don't know,
spinach.
But like very common Bangladeshi food tend to have this, like khichuri you can't eat because it causes the flare. And I've noticed even within my family, I know at least 3 now who suffer from gout. So I wonder if like the beef one triggered that thought because you can't eat red meat when you have gout. It's an awful pain. Like it's debilitating how bad it is.
Really?
Yeah, it starts like on your toes. And it just burns apparently. Like it's horrible.
Damn.
Chingri much I can understand. Like people are
shellfish,
so I can get it. Bagoon, I don't know if it's the consistency, right? Like if people think that that's causing.
I think it's because it's a nightshade. It's a nightshade vegetable.
Mane?
What does that mean? It's
nightshade
not green?
No. Nightshade vegetables is like it's a umbrella term for certain types of vegetables. So you got like your peppers, your tomatoes, your eggplants. They all fall into that nightshade category.
Oh, I thought it was because it was a dark color. I was like, oh yeah, it's not green. It's dark color. Nightshade.
Cannot take her out in public. But roti, I remember. But this is something a lot of people do get. Like it itches. When is that everybody or because I know that happens to me.
Same happens to me too. I get free lip fillers if I have catal. My mouth just completely swell up. It's disgusting.
But that's what I'm saying. One allergic reaction equals to lifelong sentence to never eat beef, shrimp, and bacon.
But I feel like I've even seen the opposite of it, where it's like, oh, তোমার allergies আরো বেশি করে খাও, তাহলে এটা ঠিক হয়ে যাবে. Like your body will get used to it.
But like our kids, for example, they start eggs and peanuts and stuff early, so that you can kind of mitigate some of those allergic reactions later in life.
Yeah. I mean, some are legitimate concerns. I mean, you can die from food allergies, right? So it is important. Like you shouldn't ignore it.
Right.
Which again, sometimes you hear that of like, oh, allergy গুলি কি আজাই রা এগুলি খালি আমেরিকাতে হয়. I mean, no man, if you have a peanut allergy, that's pretty serious.
I'm allergic to oysters, which happened random. I used to be able to eat them, but as an adult. And I didn't know until one day I had a reaction. So I stopped eating them. Years later, my ex-husband was like, let's have oysters. And I'm like, no. He's like, it's just in your head. Like, it's probably just in your head. Just try it. And I was like, okay, we're going to do this. He was
trying to poison you.
Right? Yeah. And I was like, okay, to deck. I'm going to more gale, it's your fault.
Oh my gosh.
So I had one. And within like 30 minutes, we had to go home. And it was like projectile vomiting. Like, it was awful. I didn't die from it, obviously. But it was awful. And it's because of this mentality of like, it's in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
stupid.
It can be fatal.